Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another unit review video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Walhart. Now he is a Grand Hero Battle unit and his battle event will be available for about a week. It runs from July 29th to August 5th, so make sure you complete those events and snag yourselves some Walharts. Walhart is actually our first Grand Hero Battle Axe Cavalry unit. That's really great because there's only a handful of Axe Cavalry units that are currently in the game right now. There's actually only 5 and they are Big Bulge Alphonse, Frederick, Gunter, Marth, and Titania, and currently only 3 of those 5 are available in the permanent summoning pool. Now enough about his archetype, let's take a look at his stats. It's pretty generic, I would say. He's one of those units that have very high attack and defense but poor speed and res, similar to most Axe units in fact. But the one unit that he's most similar to is of course Frederick, more specifically a plus attack Frederick. They both hit extremely hard, they're both able to tank physical attacks well, and they're both vulnerable to magic. And that leads to the question, well, what's the point of building Walhart when he's basically Frederick in a cockroach outfit? Well, Walhart has a weapon that only he can wield, and it has a really unique effect which I'll get into real soon. But first, I just want to say that Freddy is the better unit to use for builds that uses the common inheritable axe weapons like a Brave Axe, Slaying Axe, Slaying Hammer, and so on and so forth. And the reason is real simple, it's because Freddy has higher merge potential and he has access to IVs. Now let's dive into his unique weapon, it's Berg. The first effect grants 3 defense passively, and if the number of foes within 2 spaces is equal or greater than the number of allies within 2 spaces, then he's granted +4 in attack, speed, defense, and res during combat. So for those players that are familiar with FEHeroes' Flame Segments effect, you should be able to understand how this effect works because the conditions are exactly the same. I'll pop some graphics on screen for the players that don't understand. Hopefully you guys can figure it out just by looking at it. Anyways, if you send Walhart out to fight on his own with this weapon equipped without any other buff taken into account, then his stats totals at 41 HP, 57 attack, 31 speed, 43 defense, and 20 resistance. As great as those buffs may look, Berg alone doesn't help patch up any of his vulnerabilities. He's still going to get doubled by most enemies and he's still very weak to magical attacks. However, with home cavalry buffs and a speed boosting A skill, his speed can actually reach the mid 40s, and only then will he be able to reliably start doubling foes as well as preventing them. You can even ignore his speed and focus skills into increasing his already high attack and defense so he can survive foes of all colors including sword foes and potentially be able to KO them as well. There's a lot of builds that you can create with this weapon, and I'll share some more build ideas with you guys later on in this video. Special is Luna. It's decent for a budget set, but the better 3 charge damage special is Bonfire. He's able to deal at least 21 extra damage with it. His A skill is Granny's Shield. I know that a lot of foes in Grand Hero battles have Wolf Tome, so this could be a very useful skill to have outside of Arena. Unfortunately for Arena at the moment, this skill is pretty useless because Cavalry class is the least used class. At least in high tier Arena it is, because Cavaliers simply just don't score very high, and since it's the least used class, then players won't build their units to counter them. B skill is Chill Defense. So Walhart already has incredible high attack, so with Chill Defense his damage becomes greater. He could already one-shot blues, but with the Chill Defense debuff he could even start one-shotting greens. Just think about it, he has 57 attack with Berg's effect, 63 with home cavalry buffs, and essentially 70 attack with Chill Defense debuff. So if there's an axe foe with let's say 40 HP and 30 defense, then they're in danger of getting one-shotted by Walhart. Alright, so Walhart is strong, physically tanky, and versatile, especially for a Grand Hero Battle unit. He has a fantastic stat line that can be built for either phase, but I think enemy phase builds is where he'll truly shine the most. Skills for the most part are great, mainly because he has Chill Defense. It's such a powerful skill for any teams out there. And as for his cons, I don't think that he really has any significant cons besides the obvious low res, below average speed, and low merge potential. And now let's dive into some builds. Here's a fun little budget build for him that revolves around one-shotting foes that are inflicted by Chill Defense debuff on player phase. If we take into account the buff from Berg, Death Blow, Home Cavalry buff, the passive stats from his seal, and the debuff from Chill Defense, then he practically has 78 attack. Use him to one-shot blues and some greens on player phase, that's pretty much it. Next is a Brashpiration set. With this set, you want to make sure you use them against a fairly favorable matchup first, so he can drop low enough to activate Brazen Attack Defense, Desperation, and Brash Assault. And then after that, he's granted guaranteed doubles versus melee foes. Fury can also work with this build if you do not have Brazen Attack Defense fodder, but with Fury, he'll primarily be used as a player phase offensive unit. On the other hand, with Brazen Attack Defense, Walhart can actually become incredibly tanky and can be used as a wall, so that's the difference between these two A-slot skills. This next set has Brazen Attack Defense, Vantage, and Deflect Melee 3. With this set, you want to first use them on the player phase, attack a foe with Walhart so he can drop low enough to activate Brazen Attack Defense. If he gets doubled on retaliation, that's fine because Deflect Melee will reduce the second counterattack's damage by 80%. Hopefully you can find a matchup for him that can deal at least 11 damage to him so that he's able to use Vantage on the enemy phase. The initial fight grants him 3 special charges, assuming that he gets doubled, so when he activates Vantage, he'll counterattack with a bonfire activation. For the C slot, I have Attack Smoke and Defense Smoke. Attack Smoke is obviously there to increase his survivability, while Defense Smoke is to increase his one-shot potential with Vantage. Next is an enemy phase build. This build is pretty straightforward. On the enemy phase, assuming that he's isolated, he has 47 defense and 53 defense with fortified cavalry buffs. He's going to be incredibly tanky and powerful at the same time. Assuming that he gets doubled, he'll activate Bonfire on his second hit. That's going to hit for at least 26 extra damage. Combine that with his 60 plus attack, not a lot of foes are going to be able to survive. There are some skills that you can swap around here. Vantage can be replaced with Guard if you want to go for a less offensive but more defensive approach. Same thing with Attack Smoke and Defense Smoke in the C slot. You can also go for a more traditional enemy phase set with Quick Riposte in the B slot and Close Defense 3 Seal. Bonfire is going to hit harder with this build, and in general he'll take less damage from more matchups than the previous build. You can also give him Bracing Stance instead of Sturdy Stance if you want to increase his mixed bulk. That way he can deal with dragons. And that was the last build that I had for this video. I didn't include a speedy build because I believe focusing skills into his attack and defense stat is the optimal way to go. But if you guys have any build ideas of your own, then feel free to share them in the comments below. So I usually do a segment where I talk about my free-to-play unit tier list for my free-to-play guides. I'm actually going to stop covering that in these videos since there seems to be a lot of confusion about it with viewers that aren't familiar with what I do on my channel. So for you guys that refer to my free-to-play guide videos and wanted to see where I placed them on the list, you'll have to head over to my Twitter and you can find the list pinned at the very top of my page. The link to my Twitter will be in the description. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, then don't forget to leave a like. I would highly appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.